tuning in. You are here with Two Psychics No Limits. And I'm here with Tamalla. My name is Cindy, and I will give you a short introduction about myself. I am an energetic stepping and wholeness counselor. I work with spirit. I can counsel my clients with the help of my own spirit team, and they're called Carla. And I also work together with other spirits such as Marilyn Monroe, Ava Gardner, Judy Garland, but also recently a couple of goddesses were coming through, such as Isis, Pele, Mother Mary. Yoo-hoo! And they are also here to guide you, to help you, to counsel you, and you will be able to find my videos on my YouTube channel called Blue Lotus. And besides the channeling work, I also work with crystals, and this is like the sound treatments that I give, and the method that I'm using, it's called Sacred Crystal Sound Treatments. And I'm here together with my friend Tamalla. And Tamalla, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Tamalla, and I am your empowerment priestess. And up until now, I've been a clarity catalyst and empowerment mystic. But in 2019, Spirit has me shifting everything about my business and stepping into my priestess work, which is my mission. It's not my calling, it's my mission, what I came here to do. And I am a shamanic Magdalene high priestess, and also a soul recognition and training facilitator, and an Akashic record worker. So I do Akashic record clearing. I do lots of body work. I'm a certified catalyst facilitator, so I help you balance your body. I help you balance your spirit. I help you come into alignment with who you are mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And also am expanding my work into offering multiple levels of engagement in 2019, so that I can work with everybody on all different levels. So there's going to be the free stuff, there's going to be the membership stuff, which is going to be, really affordable. There's going to be the one-on-one stuff, and then there's going to be the mastermind stuff. So I'm really excited about all that. Yay!
Can you give us a little bit more information about the priestess? About your mission?
Sure. I am the priestess of taking responsibility. That is the work and the magic and the medicine that I bring into the earth plane. It's taking personal responsibility. So all of my work is empowerment work. It's about taking your power back. It's about coming into awareness that your life is exactly the way it is because you have attracted it, you have chosen it, you have created it either by default or on purpose. And the priestess work that I do is really about offering clarity, getting to the root issues. And it's not a lot of fluff and fanfare, right? Not a lot of rainbows and butterflies. It's shadow work sometimes. When I have a client on the table and we're going into deep-seated shadows that they're holding inside their body, like fear, abandonment, abuse, victimization, any of that kind of stuff, they may be crying, they may be screaming, they may be doing whatever, right? Because it's getting to that molecular level and getting that stuff out of their body and out of their etheric fields, out of their mental body and emotional body, so that they can leave free of all that stuff that doesn't serve them anymore. So it's really, it's shamanic work, and shamanic goes into those shadowed spaces.
Wow, it sounds beautiful. It sounds like a lot of work, but at the end it is super important and beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. it's work we have to do. You know, we can't,
Yeah.
we're not in that place anymore where we can kind of halfway things, right? We got to do it like we mean it.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work to do.
There he is. Yes, there he is.
There is. But I already heard that 2019 will be the year actually for us to take our power.
Mm-hmm.
Stand in our power and don't let anybody else make the decisions for you. But, you know, you're the one who's calling the shots in your own life.
Yep, exactly. And we always have been. It's just we didn't have the ability to acknowledge that and receive that and believe that. And now 2018 was the shaking up and shifting out, right? It was really shaking everything up and getting us to decide what we want and what we don't want. And then activate within us what we're choosing for our future, which 2019 is going to help us bring that into our own realities.
I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm super excited. I heard that it will be even more challenging in some way next year for most of the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The time for bullshit is over. And you know, speaking truth to power is also speaking truth to the powers that have kept you blocked or restricted or held back or in those paradigms that don't serve you anymore. And speaking truth to those paradigms and speaking truth to the ego is also part of what I'm going to be stepping into. And some people aren't going to like it, and that's okay, because I'm not here to please your ego. I'm here to help you align with your soul.
Exactly.
And your ego is not necessarily going to be on board with that. But that's going to be up to you to decide how important it is for you to level up. And Spirit keeps telling me we're ramping up the woo. Ramping up the woo. So, you know, people that have been following in the past who thought that we or I specifically was pretty woo-woo, well, we're ramping that up even stronger. So it's going to be even more woo. So brace yourself.
Oh, I'm looking forward.
Me too.
I'm looking forward. I'm not here to be nice either. That's what I heard. Somebody said, like, you're not here to be nice. You're going to be here to tell the truth.
Exactly.
And the ego is indeed a part of us that will not like it, because we have been serving ego for so long to get what it wants to have, and then suddenly there will be a no.
Yes.
And then it will freak out.
Yes.
It will get angry.
Yeah. And our egos, you know, they've been in control of us for over 7,000 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah, this patriarchal cycle that's lasted about 7,000 years, that came in with the Adam, right? The Adam archetype, that was all about the ego. And we're shifting out of that, which means our ego is going to jump up, is going to throw a fit, it's going to be a pain in the ass, it's going to sabotage us, it's going to do all of these things until we take charge of it, right? Until we shift out of that ego and into that unity consciousness, which is what the beings of light are all working to help us get to.
I just still want to say something about the ego, because when I talk to people about the ego, I hear quite often the sentence of, oh, then we need to train it, we need to get rid of it. But the ego is part of our body, it is part of our existence here, and we actually need the ego, because the ego will also give you the challenge in some way, as in to look at things from different kind of way, like a different point of view, as like, can I do this or can I do that? So it challenges you in a certain way, but the ego is not there to make any decisions.
Yeah. It's our survival. It's our fight or flight, right?
Yeah.
We need it because we need to
Yes.
know when we're in situations when we need to fight or flight. But
Yes.
every experience in our life is not a fight or flight.
No.
Right? So we need to be the ones that are in charge of our ego, and we need to tell it when to sit down and when to step up. And, when we're going to run things and it's going to have to help, or when we're going to let it run things and we're going to help it.
Interesting. I can talk a little bit more about it, but today we have a topic about physical symptoms.
Okay.
Because we spoke about it already in our last video when we were discussing our sound treatments, because our body is involved with when we are holding like belief systems or old patterns, or what you said when you described your mission. It is stuck somewhere in the body and it needs to come out. So I thought maybe that will be a topic to discuss in this video, to talk about physical symptoms.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be wonderful. And they're going to be different for everybody. So we're going to talk about our individual symptoms, and then they may be different for you guys.
Yeah. Do you want me to start?
Please.
Okay. Okay, so the first one, when we were discussing our methods, our sound treatments the last time, and I mentioned that, I have tension in my shoulders, I have tension in my back. And I have had it for a very long time. And I've also had it when I was still working in an office. I put my shoulders like this, I pulled them up, and then I was working. And there's something, and I recognize that when there's a time or a situation where I just need to let things go, my back is tensing up, and like, oh no, I need to hold this, I don't want to let it go. So there's like this tension forming that doesn't want to let it doesn't want to let go of something. And I'm like, okay, this is my body reacting that it is not yet ready, or actually it doesn't want to because it has always been there.
Yeah,
it wants to hold on, it wants to grab on it, because why do you want to leave?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is one of my physical symptoms. It is the tension in my shoulders, in my back.
And so what do you do to relieve that?
That's a good question, because I think that is not only one thing that my shoulders are trying to get their grips on. There are several things that they're trying to hold on to. And when I look back, when there was a lot of work to do, and I knew that I could do it in the amount of time that I still had to do the work, I was like, oh, I can do this. I can still finish my work in that certain amount of time. So I was trying to, I don't know, I cannot really find the word, but it is like holding on to, I can finish everything. I don't want to let it slip away. So I'm trying to hold things together. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I heard was when our shoulders go up, because I do the same thing when I'm working. Mm-hmm. And what I heard when you were talking is when your shoulders go up, you're engaging your head.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
You're engaged. You're working from here. And
yeah.
So, and your shoulders go up to keep you up here. So that's interesting.
That is interesting, but it makes so much sense. Mm-hmm. Because it is the head that also, of course, involves saying like, I can do this, don't want to let it go. So let me focus on everything what I still need to do. Oh, that is interesting.
Stay up here and keep it all going around.
Yes.
So we can make it happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh my God. pay attention to the next time when I'm having my shoulders pulled up like that.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Mm-mm.
Me too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what do you have as a physical symptom that you know that you are?
Well, over the years, I've had lots of different ones. One that showed up for me that's been consistent has been a hypothyroid problem. Hypo means that it doesn't function the way it's supposed to, so it's slow, and that makes my metabolism slow. And so, I had all the symptoms of that for probably 10 years before it got diagnosed. And there were two things that Spirit told me that contributed to that. Number one is I spent years saying I didn't have any metabolism. So I reinforced it. Every time I said that, I reinforced it, I reinforced it, I reinforced it before I was even diagnosed. And the second is when I shut down my gifts as a child, and I think we're going to talk about that in our next video.
Yeah.
I stopped my divine self-expression. And for me, at soul level, I'm divine truth and divine self-expression. So in speaking, that comes from, your throat, right? Your throat area. Well, your thyroid is in your throat area. And what I did was I shut all of that down so it didn't function properly. And what I've been doing the last couple of years is really speaking my truth, speaking truth in situations, being available, and really opening up my throat. And when I do that, I find that my metabolism naturally gets better, that I don't have some of the symptoms that I used to have before, and that it's easier for me to do the things that I want to do because I'm in alignment with who I am. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
And that's just one. That's just one symptom, and I've had a myriad of them. And there's also the physical evolution that's going on, the ascension that's going on with our physical bodies. And there's lots of symptoms with that too, but that's a little bit different than what we're talking about today.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to give a few examples what we can expect or what you have experienced with Ascension?
Well, there's been lots of different things, but and they all come like at different speeds and at different and during different phases of the ascension process.
Oh, are they coming in and out?
Well, not necessarily in and out, but like one may only last for a couple of hours or for a day or two, and another one may last for 6 months, right?
Wow.
That's what I mean about the time. And so, like for me, one of the ascension symptoms that I went through a couple years ago was actually in 2017, 16, 17, and part of 18. I was eating tablespoons of peanut butter every single day. It's like not like a leveled off, like a heaping tablespoon, right? Like a quarter of a cup. And I just put on a spoon and eat it. And sometimes it was 2 or 3 times a day. And I had no idea why. It's like I had to have it. I had to have the protein. I had to have the nourishment of the peanuts. And I have no idea why. Had no idea why. And I didn't discover until recently that is an ascension symptom. Your body shifts and changes, and so the nutrients that it needs shifts and changes. And so some people crave chocolate, some people crave other things. For me, it was the damn peanut butter. And it was like I would, there were some days I would take the peanut butter and just walk around the house and just eat peanut butter right out of the jar.
Oh my gosh.
like, I don't know. And I would eat that instead of eating a meal. And it's like, well, this can't be good, but I felt better. I felt good, right? Because it was giving me the nutrients that my body needed in that moment. And then maybe, for dinner, I'd have a dinner, right? But for breakfast and lunch and snack and another snack, I'm eating, peanut butter.
Wow.
It's interesting that as our vibration raises, we have to remember we're raising the vibration of our physical body too. We're not just raising the vibration of our mental body or our emotional body, right? It's our 3D physical body.
Yeah.
And so that means the stuff that's going to nourish the physical body is going to be different. And also, when you're ascending, there are time periods in the ascension where you're going to gain a little weight and where you're going to lose a little weight. And you just got to be okay with that. And that's why instead of being up in our heads, right, we have to drop down in our heart space and in our soul space. Because the whole process of ascension has nothing to do with what the outside world sees or understands or perceives or even sees when they look at us, right? It has nothing to do with that. It's all within our own experience, our own thoughts, our own emotions, our own physical body, our own spiritual development. And we're all going to have our own symptoms. I haven't slept more than 2 hours a night on average in probably a year and a half.
No.
And it also was linking up with the 333s, the 222s. For 3-4 months now, I see 1111 all the time. I was driving today. I looked down at the clock. It's 1111. And so all of that stuff is confirmation that the ascensions are happening. And you can pay attention to yourself. Like right now, my left foot is having problems. And it's been about 3 or 4 weeks now. My understanding of how to live in this world is completely changing. Not like a little bit changing, like holy fuck changing. You know what I mean? Like, what? And so it's like your left side of your body is the feminine, right side is the masculine, right? And so my feet, because we're moving forward, right? We're progressing. And it's also our understanding, right? How we understand things. And my feet actually hurt. My left foot is actually in physical pain. And I went to the chiropractor today. That's what I was doing when I saw the 1111. And I had him just see if he could even adjust it. And it's like, this is an ascension symptom, but it is a physical pain, right? Because my body is having to let go of the way that it did things before, the way that I walked before, the way that I led, like I always led with my left, right? Masculine, action, take care of business, make things happen, right? Don't take any shit, right? Mm-hmm. And now I'm having to learn to balance those. So it's not so much feminine forward as it is balanced and androgynous, right? And my feminine side is kind of limping along because she doesn't really know how to do that yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's going to come in when I get it on all of my levels. Like on an emotional level, I understand it. On a mental level, I have about maybe 45% of how it's going to be moving forward because it's never existed for me before in this new way. Mm-hmm. And physically, I've only got it like maybe 15%. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so painful. But I feel like once it all integrates, right, then it'll be fine. But I wouldn't be surprised if I don't have like a stress fracture or something else in my foot, because it's just like, you know what I mean?
But no, not really. Is it like are your muscles, or are they like tensed, or does it hurt when you walk?
Yeah, they're inflamed, they're swollen.
Oh,
Like, your foot is like this, like
yeah,
be your big toe, and this is the outside.
yeah.
Whole area here is really inflamed, and then all of this is like really super tight, like where your arch is.
Mm-hmm.
And right below my toes, it is where the initial, like where the pain point is. And I don't have a kinesiology thing, a reflexology thing to look at the foot to see what that is. But all of this is about the feminine coming into alignment with herself, because all of the aspects of your body are related to your foot, right? All the organs, everything you can
Mm-hmm.
get to on the bottom of your feet. And the left side is overcompensating. So this is all muscle cramps and everything on this side, because we're overcompensating for the weakness that's on this side, right? Well, that's the way I lived my life for 49 years, right? Overcompensating with the masculine and the feminine just kind of dragging her along,
Yeah.
right? And so as we're ascending, all of this stuff comes up as a direct reflection of our past and our paradigms, so that we can make different choices. And so what I'm doing is every moment I'm making a different choice. No, I don't want to lead that way. I want to come in straight on, right? I don't want to lead this way. I want to come in straight on, right?
Mm.
So even when I'm approaching people, I want to come in straight, right? But as I'm doing that, I can feel the energy shifting around me when I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And each time I do that, I'm making a new choice, and it's making more sense every single time, right? Oh, I get this. I see how this feels now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've never done it before in this incarnation and in a bunch of incarnations before. So I don't yet know what it looks like. And that's why it's taking a little longer for me right now on this one, because it's been so out of alignment for so many lifetimes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Now, there are other things that I can click through, right? In minutes, I can click through. Yep, right? This one, I'm not doing that. Now, other people may do this one really quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be different. They're going to be different for all of us.
Yeah.
What kinds of ascension symptoms have you had?
Oh, that's a good question. I do not even know if it is part of this of the ascension, but I can tell you for the past 1 year, I've been sleeping so much. I've just been sleeping. I like to sleep, so I don't have any problems with that. The last 2 weeks, I've been exhausted. And since a week or so, I feel like growing pain. It is so I don't know if that is a part of the ascension. It is like with my ankles, it is with my knees, it is like my elbows, it's like where your joints are. And I have it right now actually in my right foot, in my ankle. I can feel it is like when you're 10 or 11 years old and you know your body is growing. It feels like that.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
your body's learning how to, because like I got my crystalline skeleton, and that came in and it was weird. It didn't really hurt. It was kind of uncomfortable. But now I think that I have it, all my muscles are like, oh, what the hell was that? You know what I mean? And they're trying to learn how to be and do with this new structure, because it bends differently, right? And it flexes differently, because it's more crystalline, it's more solid, it's more strong. And so maybe that might be the same for you, that your joints and everything are learning how to be joints now with the.
Yeah, it makes sense because so when you were talking about that you were trying when you are walking now that you want to come, what did you say? Like you want to come straight
Mhm.
forward. It is approaching things in a completely different way. Because when you encounter somebody and you are always used to have your right side, in front because it is your masculine part, and then suddenly you are going like this, it is this part of left side is unknown. It is what was going on right now because it feels like vulnerable. It is like almost feeling naked. It,
Mhm.
and that is something that it is what you say, like your body doesn't know how to cope with that because it is a completely different way of approaching things that you actually might freak out.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this feels so uncomfortable, I want to do like this, but then it's the wrong move to do it
Mhm.
like this. And yeah, I noticed that I also walk in a different way.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
do not have I I'm not in the peanut butter phase. I wanted to have peanut butter, but I've got peanuts at home, so I've been eating a whole bag of peanuts and a lot of chocolate. And the chocolate phase that held on for weeks, and then from one day to another, gone. I
Mhm.
still have the chocolate at home, but I'm not eating it because I'm not in an urge of eating the chocolate. But
Right.
it's also something that I actually want to say that you said, because your energetic field is changing and your physical body needs the nourishment. So I just want to emphasize that it's always super important to listen to your body when it asks for a certain ingredient. You can eat tomatoes for 2 months in a row because your body needs it. So it is not that eating stuff that you would like to eat, as in, every Monday I eat potatoes with whatever, and on Tuesday I always have pizza. It is really like us or listening to your body what it needs, because
Mhm.
then you will give it the right nutrition as well.
100%, I agree with you. And here's the other thing. We we almost choked. Spirit wanted to yell us out. Don't listen to what anybody else tells you have to eat.
Mm-hmm.
This thing that's going on right now is about you, and health digests and magazines and studies have never studied ascension to the fifth dimension because it's never freaking existed before. Yeah.
Is that what spirit is yelling at you?
They said it a little bit more directly, but yes. Don't listen to anybody else. They don't freaking know. They just don't. And listen, my body is bigger than I want it to be right now. But it's temporary, and I know that it's temporary, but it's temporary based on everything that's occurred up until now, and the ascension, and my understanding of how I bring energy into the planet, and all of these things, right?
Mm.
And so as I align, right, as I align with my ascension, as I align with how the new way I'm running energy and bringing in new concepts and new energy into the earth, and the new way I learn how my body wants to be fed, the weight is going to move, right? Because I don't need it anymore. I've needed it up till now. And so some people look at me and they go, "Oh, you're really overweight. So how do you know what to do?" Well, I know what is happened up until now, right? And I know why it's happened up until now. And I also know moving forward, it doesn't have to be that way anymore.
Yeah.
But for me, up until now, it had to be that way based on the paradigms that I had, based on the understandings that I had, and based on the misunderstandings that I had, right? And so it's all about not ignoring, not fooling ourselves, right? It's all about getting really real with, I will never do another diet ever, ever, not in this lifetime, not in any future lifetimes. Okay, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
A diet is not what my body needs. My body needs alignment and direction from my higher soul self, which I was never taught how to do in this earthly plane, right? And I'm learning how to do it, and I'm learning how to do it the hard way so that I can teach other people how to do it so it doesn't have to be hard for them, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know where that soapbox came from.
I just want your face was like, don't.
That's what you got. Somebody needed to hear that.
Yeah.
And that was for you.
You're very welcome.
You're welcome. May it bless you.
But it's actually funny because I wrote down, because when we have a video, I always type so much and then I forget half the stuff that I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually wrote down that diets, I don't like diets either. And I wrote it down because I linked it to the cramps that I had when I had my period. A lot of people have those when people want to lose weight and they want to follow a certain diet, it doesn't mean that this diet is going to work for you, because first of all, you've got a completely different body. Your process or your digestive system is completely different than a person who made this cooking book. And when you want to lose the weight because it is of the diet, I'm not really sure if you're going to lose the weight, because the person who made this cooking book, this, with the diet that he or she believes in, of course it's going to work, because the belief is in there that this diet that she is following herself is going to work. But when you do not have that same belief system, I don't think it's going to work out. Does it make sense?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I don't want to do any diets either. I've always been listening to my own body. And if I need to eat, a chocolate bar for the next 3 months every single day, then I'm going to,
or peanut butter.
to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was it about the food.
Well, something else I noticed about diets is they're all the energy of lack. It's all about the energy of withholding and lack, and I can't have. Well, all that does is bring into your experience a whole bunch more stuff you can't have. And that's why people are miserable when they're on a diet, because they can't have anything.
Oh, yeah.
They can't have a happy relationship. They can't have a happy relationship with their body. They can't have the food they want, the sex they want, the jewelry they want, the job they want, right? Because it resonates, right? And so if you are going to do a diet, I suggest you look for the energy of yes. Yes, what can I have? What do I want that's nourishing for me? Because then you're in the energy of abundance as opposed to lack. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. And And it brings me on the topic that I wrote down too. I think I was roughly around beginning of 20s, and I still ate bread. And then after a short time, I did completely stop with it because I just did not really like the taste of bread. But for some reason, I had this, this extra weight around my waist. And I really did. I didn't do any diets, but I did so much sport. I think 3-4 times a week. And there was always like a lot of cardio. There was always a lot of running involved. And for some reason, that extra weight did not leave. And then last year, I went to see a lady who is an acupuncturist, but on the side she also, asks you what your food program is and what do you eat. And it came out that I've got an intolerance for gluten, and so I cannot have the pasta, I cannot have the bread, and so on. And then I had a coffee with one of my teachers, and he said, "Cindy, do you want a piece of cake?" It's like, "Oh, I can't have this because it has gluten inside, and I cannot have the yeast and whatsoever." And he said, "Who said that?" It's like, "Oh, I've got this. I did this intolerance test, and it says that I cannot have any gluten." And he said, "Can you remember when the last time you had a piece of cake or bread?" It's like, "Yeah, oh yeah, I can remember that. How did you feel?" And I said, "I was frustrated. I was angry and upset when I ate that piece of bread because I was still together with my last boyfriend." And then he said or with one of my ex-boyfriends, and he said well, that is exactly it. When you ate the piece of bread with frustration and anger, that is going to sit around your waist, So you have the frequency of bread and frustration on one level. So when you are going to, he said, when you're going to say, "I'm going to enjoy this little piece of cake," or "I'm going to enjoy this little piece of bread, and I'm able to digest this without any problems," he said, you will see, you will digest it without any problems. And I tried it, and it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. I did, yeah. And I was like, what? But then it's also what I think that it is part of like an evolution. A human being, we all go through an evolution, and I think that is part in every single thing that we are doing. So when I look at my own way of eating, when I was younger, I could eat everything I wanted, no problems or whatsoever. Yeah. And then I got into, not being able to digest bread and pasta. And apparently I've got intolerance. I cannot have beer either, So I went through a phase of eating everything. And then there was a phase of intolerance. And then when the next phase as in understanding that you can actually have everything that you want, as long as your frequency matches, what you're saying. Like when you're eating, when you have a diet and you look at it like, "Oh, I cannot have the meat, I cannot have pasta, I cannot have this, and I cannot have that," instead of focusing like, "Yes, I can have carrots, yes, I can have the cheese, yes, I can have the eggs." So you have a completely different relationship with food and the frequency with it. Does it make sense?
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I came in allergic to eggs, but nobody knew it. Like, I'm not bad allergic to eggs, but they always made me sick when I was a kid. And I've had some. I have a naturopath that I work with, and she's the one that realized it, because I would get the flu shot and I would get deathly ill for like 7 or 8 days after I got the flu shot. Well, they make the flu shot with an egg base, and so that's why it would make me so sick. And she did some stuff, and then I went to an actual doctor, and had allergy tests done. And he's like, yeah, you're allergic to eggs and shrimp and, some other things. And it's interesting because even as a child, I never wanted to eat eggs. Sorry, there's an Amber Alert. Hold on. Sorry, we're going to pray for that child that's missing. That was an Amber Alert, and I've got 2 phones, so it was really loud. There's a child missing, so we're going to pray that that child be returned safely and swiftly, that the guardian angels of that child surround them and keep them safe, and they be brought to the place where they are highest served in protection and health. Amen.
Amen.
Sorry about that. Wow.
Don't worry. I was like, I thought your alarm was going off.
No, we have Amber Alerts in the U.S. and they are for abducted children. And they send them. They send them out. The police send them out on as a notice on our cell phones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So sorry about that.
Oh, no, don't worry.
I have no idea what I was talking about. Oh, the egg thing.
Yeah, the flu shot and the egg and shrimps.
Yeah. So, and I just got an iPhone, right? And I have no idea how to make it quiet because I've already got it on vibrate and it's still making noises. And I have no idea why it's still making noises. So anyway.
Oh, yeah, I don't have an iPhone, so I cannot tell you how it works.
Like, it's smarter than I am. So the egg thing. Oh, as a child, that's interesting because that came up when I said I was a child. When I was a child, I never wanted to eat eggs because I always thought they were chickens' babies.
Oh,
And it always really upset me that people were eating other animals' babies. Like, that always upset me. And I'm wondering if that might not be the intolerance, because it's emotionally distressing for me.
Yes, and then your body automatically will say, no, that's not what I want to process. That's not what I want to eat.
Right.
Yeah.
And what happens, interestingly enough, is I don't have like anaphylaxis or anything like that. It makes me sleepy. Like if I have like a quiche or an omelet, I literally will fall asleep, like almost comatose asleep.
No, really?
Sleep for 3 or 4 or 5 hours. Yes. Now I've had allergy treatments by my naturopath, so I haven't had shots or anything, but I've had the naturopath treatments, and so now it just makes me really tired. It doesn't knock me out, but it's interesting that it lowered my vibration. It brought me down so low that it just knocked me out. That's interesting, and I hadn't thought about that before.
Oh, it's good that we have this discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, allergies are incongruencies. That's just what they are. They're incongruent with our physicality. They're incongruent with our thoughts or our emotions. And so when we have allergies, if we can think and work through the incongruencies, then maybe, and this is just a thought, maybe we can come to the place where we don't have those allergies anymore. Like for me, I don't know that I'm ever going to want to eat anybody else's babies. So,
yeah,
it seems cruel, and it just does.
It is.
They lay their eggs. They go out and get breakfast. They come back, their babies are gone.
Yeah.
It seems cruel. It seems like even now it's heartbreaking. Now here's the other thing. I will eat the hell out of a steak.
Uh-huh.
I will eat fried chicken. I'll eat the grown chicken, just not the baby chicken. How funny is that?
Mm-hmm.
And so up until recently, that hasn't been a problem for me, but it's starting to come in with these animals are not necessarily, maybe they are, I don't know, I haven't investigated, but they're not necessarily choosing to incarnate to be mass produced food. Maybe they are. I don't know. I mean, they could. And so that's my next question on the food thing.
What if the animals decided to become like a piece of meat for us to digest and be part of a mass production food industry? Yeah.
Or if there be, because there was always for years and years and years, there's always that thought, and a lot of vegetarians and people who do it for ethical reasons believe that they're being abused and tortured, right? They're being imprisoned and abused and tortured. And I think there's probably some of that, but I have to imagine I'm very, very sensitive. And if that were true, I would, for all of them, I wouldn't be able to eat any meat. You know what I mean? And I don't have that problem.
Yeah.
So and to be honest, I haven't asked yet either.
I was eating a lot of meat, and I was a person who had to have meat twice a day, lunch and dinner. Otherwise, it would not be a meal for me, you know. And then for one day to another, I think it was 2 years ago, around Christmas time, something happened, and it was like as if you turned off the switch. I had no appetite for meat anymore. Absolutely not. And when I passed by, the meat section in the supermarket, I'm almost getting sick, as in like, oh my gosh, can you imagine touching that piece of meat and prepare it for your for your meal? I cannot imagine anymore to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, so it went from one day to another. It was the appetite was just gone.
That is so interesting. Well, I'm open to that if that's what's in my highest good, but we'll see.
Yeah. And I wanted to because I said something about the menstruation cramps, the period cramps. It was about the food, because I start to notice that the food that I thought I was intolerant to, for example, cookies and candy, whatever, it is also stuff that you cannot really digest very easily. It sticks around for quite a while, in your digestive system. That can also have a result, as in having cramps when I had my period. Another thing was, let me see what did I write down? So another possibility is actually that we as women hold negative energy in our second and third chakra. That can also, have a result in having cramps.
Yep.
And when we've cleared that, then hopefully the pain will be less. Because when I've got my period right now, I don't feel anything, which is a complete blessing, because I've been walking around with huge cramps for, more than 30, I don't know how many years. And sometimes they were so painful that I would become sick. I one time actually almost fainted, when I was actually going up the staircase. The pain was like almost unbearable. but still they did not want me to take the pill either. Gosh,
Who,
I'm
d-
really open.
who didn't want you to take the pill?
Oh, myself, but also spirit. But also spirit said, or at least it was the very strong feeling that I received when it was about taking the pill, was like, don't do it. Because for me, when I see when people are talking about the pill, or somebody else or the doctors would say like, what, don't you want to take this because that will help with the pain?
Mm-hmm.
For me, the pill is equal to hormones, and I don't want to take any hormones that my body doesn't produce itself. So I'm not saying that a pill is bad. I'm sure that there are women who have like maybe an imbalance of her an hormone system, and they need to have it. But it will not be a reason for me, because I am in so much pain that I will need to take the pill for not having the pain. Does it make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for me, that was like not the reason to actually take it.
Yeah, and what's interesting is what I was hearing when you were saying that was I agreed before I came to do all the hormone screwing up things
Oh, really?
so that on the other side of whatever transition is happening now, I can help those people who've been through that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
I started the pill when I was 11.
Wow. So how did your body react on that?
Um, well, I mean, that was ages. That was 40 years ago almost. Um, I remember it helped my cramps and it regulated me because I would have a period like 3 times a month.
Oh,
Um,
that's often.
or I would go for 3 months and not have one at all. Or I would bleed for 8 days, or I bleed for 2 days, right? I mean, it was very random. And so I didn't get on them for the cramps. I got on them because it was chaotic,
Irregular.
right? Which, to me means my hormones weren't functioning the way they were supposed to anyway, right? And so I was on the pill, and I actually got pregnant with my son while I was on the pill. Um, but um, I always thought it was good. But here's the thing: I smoked the whole time I took the pill,
Mm-hmm.
which you're not supposed to do.
Why not?
I don't know why not. Well, I think somehow it affected your clotting, your blood clotting or something, and it could cause blood clots.
Oh, okay.
Um, but I mean, I went through all the stuff, right? I've taken all the medicines. I, had the hormone things. I've had surgeries, right? I mean, all of these things while I was unconscious, right? And I mean, mentally unconscious, right? I was awake, right? I made the choice. I
Mm-hmm.
just shut down all of my gifts, so I didn't have access to the above to give me feedback. I was living 100% human and making decisions 100% human based on what other humans were telling me, right? Which is how most of us do.
Yeah.
I would much rather have had an experience like you had, where you were connected and you had the feedback and you're like, no, this isn't going to work for me. But for whatever reason, I didn't choose that this time. I chose to do it the hard way.
Mm-mm. Yeah, but you can help so many women, because there are a lot of women who are having the pill. I do not know what
Yeah.
it is to take it for so many years and what kind of effect it has on the body. Because when I was at school, there were plenty of girls who were taking the pill only because of the pain that they were in.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I saw their body, their hips were like going like this, and I was like, hmm. You know, even by looking at that their physical form changed because their hormones, it's like, no, no,
Yeah.
no thanks.
But see, you also can help so many people, because you can tell girls and women that they don't have to do that.
Oh yeah.
Do
Oh
it a
yeah.
different way. You know, I didn't see a different way, right? That wasn't a different way, wasn't present for me.
Mm.
And so that's wonderful that you can offer that.
That makes sense. I actually never really thought about it because I was always feeling left out because I would not, you know, I would be one of the few who would not take it. But it makes sense, yeah. Because when I would be in pain, I always felt very strongly like wonder or be curious, ask yourself, where is the pain coming from? Even when it is regarding a headache, if I would be a headache, I would ask, okay, if I would have a headache right now, what did I do to create it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, am I very much up into my head? Am I thinking too much? What am I doing? Because if I can create a headache, I can also like uncreate it.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
know,
you've always known that?
what uncreate my headache?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I had a remedy what for not for getting rid of the headache. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, good for you.
Thank you.
Yay. That's impressive.
Thanks. It is really like figuring out what suits and what kind of headache, because there are different kind of headaches.
Mm-hmm.
You have headaches that are up here, it is one from the back, it is behind your eyeballs, it is like everywhere. It is understanding what kind of headache it is and just almost, I want to say, like mix and match to see what would work for what kind of type of headache.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. But I want to mention one more thing regarding the menstruation cramps, because it is also the second and the third chakra for women that are
Mm-hmm.
involved. That is something that I've read, that when women do not have a healthy relationship with their own female organs, not
Mm-hmm.
embracing, you know, the female organs that we have, can also lead to having cramps.
Well, and it can lead to worse things too. Like, I had fibroids. I had a hysterectomy at 32
Mm.
because my uterus was so full of fibroids inside and outside and everything that it wasn't salvageable. So I made the choice to go ahead and have it removed because I was done having kids. I knew I wasn't going to have any more kids.
Mm.
But a lot of that, I think, is because I did have an unhealthy relationship with my sexuality, with my physical body. Um, you know, first and second chakra stuff, because I also was sexually abused when I was a child, 3 different times. By three different, I mean 3 different time periods, 3 different people. And so I didn't have a healthy relationship with my vagina, with my uterus, with my reproductive system, and all of that because of experiences that I had, before I was 15. Um, and so I think a lot of that, I think you're right, that the cramps, the fibroids, um, the irregularities, all of that stuff can come from us disowning or misunderstanding or thinking they're bad or dirty or wrong or over embracing them, right? Letting it run your life, right?
Mm.
The imbalance, any kind of imbalance, then creates an imbalance.
Yeah, makes sense. Wow. There's a lot actually to discuss.
And no limits.
No limits. No, we already dropped the word vaginas.
That's right. We said vagina. It's on.
I would never thought that I would be talking about my period cramps, on internet. But yeah, why not?
No
Most
limit.
likely it needs to be told. So here we go.
Yep. So do you have any suggestions for women or girls, what they can do to not have to take the pill when they're having their cramps and things like that?
Wow, that's a good question. When I was at school and girls around me were taking the pills because they did not want to feel the pain, that is for me personally, that was not an excuse. Because taking pills and taking hormones was for me something like, that was for me something not in alignment.
Did it feel like cheating?
No, it felt, for me, it was like, felt wrong.
Mm.
It just did not belong there. Why would I take a pill, any kind of pill, to get rid of a symptom? Because when when we were discussing like with my headaches, then I would ask myself as well, like, why do I have so many cramps? And then I was also paying attention to what I ate beforehand, before I would have a cramp. And also like, even the thinking patterns, even I went even that far that I went into my thinking patterns before I would have my period. So the advice, that's a good question. Because when I would have taken the pill just to avoid the pain that I was in, was for me not enough. Because if I would one day stop the pill, I would continue having the pain. So then it would mean to me that I would need to take it for the rest of my life, So that was for me not a valid reason for taking the pill. And just the thought of having hormones, it was like it doesn't belong into my body.
Mm-hmm. So do you take medicine for any kind of pain?
No.
See, that's something else too. So yeah, because the medicine distracts you from what the original cause is. Is that why?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I've never actually thought about it, because even when I would have a headache, I would not take a headache or like a migraine pill or whatsoever. I would not take it because I knew that the headache is like a result of me doing something. Either it was like overthinking, or maybe I was in a very warm place and I did not drink enough water. That can, also relate to headaches. So the next time when I would be in a place where, for example, when I would have, in the office, a desk at the window and the sun will be shining, I know that I will need to drink more water than I normally would do to avoid the headache. So, not to let my brain be dehydrated. So I know what to do in order to avoid it. So in that way, I learn how to listen to my body, actually.
That's so powerful.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's incredible. Most of us aren't taught that. And I can tell you in America, we're not taught that. We're
Oh
taught,
yeah.
here, have a pill so you can, continue to work and do 1,000 things that you need to do, right? It hasn't been what's the symptom. I mean, what's the cause of this symptom? Let's address the cause and heal it, right? It's all about let's, medicate it so you can keep going.
Yeah, and it is for me that doesn't make any sense, because when you would stop taking the medicine, you would still ending up with the same pain or with the same result, and then you take the same medication again. So for me, that is not solving a problem. That is just, you know, solving a problem on a very temporary basis.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually had a discussion with my dad, and I think I've got this belief system maybe from him, because when we were talking, he said to me, like, I've never taken any medication myself either. So he would not grab, you know, a migraine pill or whatsoever at all. He would have done the same thing. He was also so against it.
That is wonderful. And when my mom died, she died at 45.
Mm,
I can't remember how many now. Gosh, I don't remember, but it was like she was taking, I don't know, 70 something pills a day.
no, really?
Maybe like a big grocery bag, the plastic grocery bags, it was full of medications that she took, and some of them she took 3 or 4 times a day.
Wow.
Right? I mean, it was a lot.
Yes.
And it's because she bought into that paradigm, right? And then I, agreed to be incarnate into that family. And I, to a certain extent, I also bought into that paradigm. Do you see this little fairy?
No, I see
Did a
you.
fairy go by?
No, I see your eyes, but no, I can't see
That was
it.
awesome. Hi, Mom. Is that you?
Oh,
That's sweet. Love you.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting that and I love that we do the show together, because we have so different
Oh,
experiences,
yes.
and I just love that.
Yeah, because I can understand your view and you understand mine.
And I get to see it's possible to not do it the way
Yeah,
I've always known to do it.
yeah. You know what it is? When you said that, that is one of my father taught me. When I grew up with him, we did not really have the most pleasant relationship, but I've learned so much from him. And when I, of course, now am older, I understand where he was coming from, and you have more discussions and so on. But one of the things that he always told me is, do not depend on somebody or something. So for me, it is like, I think maybe when you talk about medication, it's almost like depending. It is like, it is a mental thing, right? That you're telling yourself, oh, I need to have this, so I don't have the pain. I will need to have this. So you're actually relying on something, and a pill or a medication is something from the outside.
Hmm. You're giving your power over to something outside of you. Exactly.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've learned not to depend on anything except for yourself.
That's a one.
Beautiful lesson from my papa.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's what, a lot of us are having to learn how to do now, is to stop looking outside, especially with the ascension, right? We can't ascend
Yeah.
looking outside of us. It's only about us.
Yeah, but not in an egoistic point of view. Is it another fairy? Oh, I didn't see her. Uh,
I feel like a 3-year-old.
yeah. Is she beautiful?
She looks like silk thread.
Oh, I do get like when you were doing it, I see something green, but I can't see anything what you have seen, but that is the picture I got, like something greenish.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that how you saw that?
I see her as like silk thread. That's what it looks like to me. Silk thread.
Wow.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I want to bring up one more thing. Hay fever.
Achoo!
Exactly. Bless you.
Thank you.
I think you had hay fever as well, right? Do you
Mm-hmm.
still have it?
I don't.
Oh, good.
I don't have it anymore. But I had it from childhood.
Yeah.
It would be so bad, my eyes would swell shut.
Oh,
Yeah, it was bad.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had it, I think, when I was around 12 or 13. And then it start with, I think like the nose start to run. And then the year later, I think that the eyes were starting to cry. And then it was all itching. And I couldn't really enjoy the nice weather outside because, and even that for hay fever, I would not take anything.
Wow.
I will not take anything. I've tried with nose drops, but nothing worked. So that is also one thing because I did not really believe in it that the medication would work. So I think that is also the reason why the medication did not work. So I thought, well, this is shit. Let's not take it. So I've done it without medication. But what I want to say is that I have been walking around with it for a long time until I think 2 years. No, maybe last year, end of, or maybe even this year. Yeah, I got a little bit confused with the timelines. So it's also like an Ascension symptom, right? You do not know when it happened. Memories are gone.
Well, and it's like it was yesterday, right? No, that was 4 years ago. Oh.
Yeah. But that is, you know what it is? That is what children have as well. When I look at my niece, they were like, when was this? Oh, she said like that was like 2 days ago, and then my sister was like that was 2 weeks, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
they have completely, because they are not in the timeline that we are having, as in like today, yesterday, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. They don't have that. So for them, it is somewhere like, well, it feels like 2 days ago, but maybe it was like 6 months ago or whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So timeline is changing. Also Ascension symptom. So hay fever, I did not have that until I didn't have that anymore, I think, until last year. And the reason is that I had like deep emotional transformation coach sessions myself for the past 2 years. And when we came to the point of the hay fever, the person I had these sessions with, she said like, well, hay fever has to do with an emotion. In my case, it had to do with an emotion. And in my case, it was about grieving. And she said like, so the younger a person has hay fever, it means that the younger the child was not allowed to embrace, show, or feel emotions, which leads to a non-existing emotional immune system. So that immune system is gone. And she said, when the pollen are coming in through, in the springtime, she said the pollen they bring in new life force, new energy. And because you have blocked the emotions for not being able to show them, to embrace them, to feel them, you do not want to receive that new life and new energy. So your mind is saying, no, I don't want that. And that gives then the allergy, an allergy the on the pollen. And it caused for me the hay fever.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you recognize that?
I do. Now that you've said it, I mean, that makes so much sense because I was an overactive child, right? Now they would say I was ADD. Back then they just said I was over. I talked all the time. I couldn't sit still. I ran around all the time. I always had something to say about everything. And I could see colors and I could see what people needed for healing and all that stuff, which we're going to talk about next time.
Yeah.
And it was always sit down and shut up, sit down and shut up. You know, with the sexual abuse, it was the same thing. You weren't allowed to express the feelings of being assaulted. And the first time that I remember, I was about 4 or 5 years old, I think around 5. And so I didn't even have words for what was happening other than I knew it just hurt, right? That was all I knew, was it hurt. And so that makes total sense because I had hay fever from a child. Yeah.
Wow.
And
So
then
you
now,
have been...
but I'm feeling my emotions now, and I'm allowing them to come up so they can come out, and I don't have hay fever anymore.
Oh, beautiful.
So but I didn't put that together until I just knew I wasn't having it anymore.
Oh, that's wonderful, because now you can enjoy, the beautiful weather and be outside and do all the stuff you could not have done before because of the sneezing and the crying eyes.
Yes, now I just need to live in a place where it's comfortable to be outside. Because here it's either way too hot to be outside or too cold to be outside.
Oh,
or
yeah,
there's
that's a
just
pity.
too mosquito-y to be outside.
That's a pity.
Yes.
I love your facial expression.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add? Because I think we are overrunning quite with.
Do I have anything to add? What I would say, I guess, to kind of sum up what we've talked about today is, if you're having any physical symptoms that are showing up for you, check in your emotional body and see, what am I feeling? What was I feeling when the first time this thing happened, right? What do I think about this thing? What was I thinking the first time, this happened? Or the first time or the last time, like Cindy said, the last time I had cake or cookies, what was I feeling? Right? Do some self-exploration on these issues where you're having incongruencies, and see if you can track back what was the instigative thing that made it incongruent, so that you can go back and make a different choice.
Yeah.
Because we are able, through this ascension process, we can collapse our timelines. So we can actually go back to those thoughts, those emotions that we had in those time periods. Go back, acknowledge them, say, yes, I see you, feel them if we need to feel them, think it if we need to think it, and then say, okay, I'm going to choose to release it. I'm going to choose to let it go. I'm going to choose to do it in a more healthy way. Right now I see how I got it twisted. So instead, I'm going to insert what I prefer. Right. And then what happens is, from that initial moment that you're able to do that until the current, all of those times when it happened before, you can insert what you prefer all the way through. and collapse that timeline so it doesn't exist anymore. And I had
Wow.
a friend of mine says when she collapses her timeline, she just collapses it, twists it, and throws it over her shoulder. That's how she does it.
That's very quick.
Yep. But we don't have to have those. Those don't have to be true for us anymore.
Yeah, because what did you say last time? The paradigm is changing, right? So we cannot walk around with these belief systems and thinking patterns. We cannot walk around with these anymore. We need to get rid of them. Well, not rid of them. We have to transform them into something positive and healthy.
Yeah. We can't ignore them. We can't pretend like they're not there or they didn't happen. We have to acknowledge them and then make a different choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's where the empowerment lies.
And this is where you come in. Beautiful. When things are falling all together, all the pieces are coming together.
Yep, they really are. And we're in this together.
Yes.
So if you want to have a session, a private one-on-one session with Cindy, you can contact her at info@channelingcarla.com and visit her website at channelingcarla.com. And if you want a private session with me, you can check out my website at yourownsoul.com. And you can email me at info@yourownsoul.com.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you next time.